Hi, and welcome to this installment of Giving Back, the show that my good friend Sunny Daly and I have been doing in order to help you and other folks here on Nantucket see the incredible variety of local nonprofits, what they do, and who the people are who kind of make it all happen. So Sunny has been kind enough to do these shows because the Community Foundation for Nantucket, which most people know she's the executive director. The executive director.
Yes, sir.
Not the managing director.
No,
the executive director.
That's right.
That's one of the things they do is they support all of these people. And Sunny's job as part of this show is to find all these great people and suck them into coming to the show to talk to you for a little bit. So Sunny, whom do we have today?
So I'm very happy to have Janis Carreiro with us today. She is the director of Nantucket Food, Fuel, and Rental Assistance. And that's not all that they do. There's quite a number of programs, so thank you for joining us in the show.
Great to be here.
Yeah, and I am just going to set it up for you because you do the work, but I think a lot of people may know one program over others. So can you tell us a little bit about Nantucket Food, Fuel, and Rental, how it started, and where you are now?
And by the way, so you're not the government? You're a standalone?
I am a 501c3
You're a
nonprofit.
501c3. That's
Correct,
right. Among other things, important for people to know.
Yes.
Correct,
Right?
yeah.
Yes. So we are our title is a mouthful: Nantucket Food, Fuel, Rental Assistance, and Medical Travel. We won't forget that one.
And which is a big
medical
deal
travel.
Here.
Yes,
Yeah.
And many people on the island probably know us from the Nantucket Food Pantry, which has been on the island and operating a little over 30 years now. The program evolved in the early 2000s and adding on a rental assistance program. And then in the mid-2000s, adding on a utility assistance program or a fuel assistance program at that time. And then just when the hospital was being built, we received what was called a CHIP grant to provide medical travel for lower income folks who needed to go off island for medical travel, which on this island seems to be everyone at all times. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing this work since 2007. When I joined the organization, I moved to the island in 2001, 1 month after 9/11, from a full-time job on the mainland, and I came to the island permanently, where I had come off and on for a few years as your typical summer vacationer. And I love the island, and for a few years I did some volunteer work, but then I was approached by one of the board members, one of the reverends in the island, to maybe come on and begin or further develop a rental assistance program, which had been started by the Reverend a couple of years before. I should mention that we are an outreach program of the Nantucket Interfaith Council, which includes all of the various churches and religious organizations on the island. And under their auspices, or their 501c3, we do secular programs such as the Nantucket Food Pantry, as a rental assistance program, utility assistance program, medical travel, and here and there a few other things thrown in from time to time when need be.
I was going to say, as the need arises.
As the need arises.
Right.
And
who would have thought
does,
of, who would have
right?
thought of,
it comes out of
COVID?
nowhere,
Yeah,
I can tell you. There's what? We need to do what? But anyway, the food pantry is probably the best known on the island. It has been in operation for, as I said, over 30 years. It has moved around a bit. When I came on in 2007, it was operating in this tiny little room in the basement of one of the churches, St. Paul's Church specifically. And it was a long stairway down, and it was a tiny little room, about a third the size of the room we're sitting in right now. No more than four people could be in the room at a time, so people would have to wait on the stairway and come in, and then there was only one way in and out, so they would get their bags of food and go. And because of that situation at that time, the bags were pre-made. What we had is what you got, whether you wanted to eat it or you didn't. And it was 90% of it was canned goods and boxed food, shelf stable food. We then moved, I can't recall the exact year, but we moved to the back of the NRTA station on Washington Street. Again, a small space. And we've been operating out of that location since, oh gosh, about 2007 or 8 at that time. During COVID, we were probably the only nonprofit on the island that was working full-time, 6 days a week. And we had to move that pantry a couple of times. We went to the ballroom of the White Elephant for a period of time, and then as the summer approached and they needed their facility back, as people were coming back to the island for vacation or coming back to their homes, because there were no vacations at that point because of COVID. And then we moved to the elementary school, the cafeteria of the elementary school, and the operation just
Right.
mushroomed because no one on the island who lived on the island was working, and getting into Stop and Shop, they would have to stand 6 feet apart, and for the folks at the lower income levels, there just was no funding to even get to the Stop and Shop. So we totally revamped our program. It grew substantially. We changed from being solely an operation that gave shelf-stable food to one that now gave fresh fruits and vegetables and proteins. We get foods from the farms, we get foods from restaurants, we get foods from individuals, and all of that is put together and serves, as of this year, about 2005 island families, which equates to about 4,000 individuals. And during this season, it would not be unusual to see 300 people coming to the pantry on any given Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night.
And that was going to lead to a question. So you don't deliver, right? So everybody's got to go to this same space, which you were describing as a relatively small space.
We do some deliveries. Mm-hmm. We do deliveries for folks who are homebound, for the elderly, for folks who are sick, injured, maybe are having a communicable or contagious disease, right. And we will deliver to them on Wednesdays. But the preponderance of everyone else comes to the pantry. We do have a van that we can make deliveries with, and we have a cadre of volunteers who help us both with distribution at the pantry and with the home deliveries. The pantry has a food pantry manager and a part-time driver, clerk, and we depend tremendously upon a very dedicated cadre of volunteers who help stock the food, bag the food, deliver the food. And right. The pantry could not exist without them. And before I leave the pantry situation and move on to our other programs, I just want our public to know, I'm sure many Nantucketers have heard that the pantry must move in the next year. And we are actively seeking new space. And that is going to come at a tremendous cost to our organization. We have been blessed for many years with paying $1 a rent to remain when they owned the building and now to the town. But that is going away. And we're going to need all the help that we can get to make this happen. And our great partner sitting next to me at the Community Foundation, they have from day one of their operation to this day been a tremendous help and supporter to us. The rental assistance program began in the early 2000s, around 2003, 2004, when it's almost comical to say this, when the island was suffering a humongous increase in demand for people coming in gobbling up housing. Cost of living went up significantly. The cost of rents went up. And the folks were coming to the churches and saying, you have to help because we're losing our employees, we're losing our islanders. They have to go off island and travel back and forth. And doesn't that sound familiar? Or is that happening now?
See him on the boat
Here
every
we
time
are.
I come over here.
Here we are.
right?
Although the costs of providing the assistance has quadrupled. So the program was started by two reverends, and they were in charge, and they sought a small grant from the Community Preservation Committee. It was the only money that they had, and they created this rental assistance program. It was a short-term assistance program to help folks during periods of unemployment or during periods of other financial circumstance, and they couldn't afford to pay their rent. In the first year, I think they helped about 10 people. At around 2007, just as I was on the island, the Community Preservation Committee indicated that the program was getting too big for two people to handle. It needed a little more professional structure, and they needed to hire someone to help them run the program. Voila, here I am. So that program has changed significantly over the years. Not so much in its mission. We still do temporary assistance to help during times of financial need, but those periods of assistance have gotten longer and longer. Has more and more folks who live on the island and work seasonal jobs. They can get through a couple of the months, but then they cannot. There are many folks who are self-employed, and therefore they don't get unemployment. You have a particularly long cold spell if you're in the construction industry or you're a laborer, or if you don't have unemployment and you're a service industry worker, it's tough to get through the winter. Added to that, what we have seen change significantly in the last 3 or 4 years is the number of seniors in rental housing whose pensions or Social Security payments have not kept up with the cost of rental. So that population has grown. In addition, what is always there is the individuals who become suddenly ill. A member of their family becomes ill, a child becomes ill, they're sent off to Boston, family is off island for, in some instances, weeks, months. And with folks who are living from paycheck to paycheck, sometimes 1 or 2 jobs, and they lose 3 or 4 paychecks, they need help to pay that month's rent.
And they need help.
And that's when
I'm
we
looking
step
at
in.
our time and
Whoa.
realizing
Whoa.
that you're so good at describing those 2 programs that we have to have you come back for another show.
I can't believe it.
Yes, but that's true.
Right?
But before we end, I want to make sure that people have the information if they want to be one of your many volunteers, or if they want to help. Those 2 things, among other things, those 2 huge things that you do, both in terms of dealing with food insecurity and dealing with housing. So if they want to find you, how do they find you? Is there a great website, great email address? How do they find
We
you?
have a website and we have email. The website is www.assistnantucket.org. Email a little more complicated. We're working on getting that changed. It is NFFRA@assistnantucket.org. So I would encourage you to check the website, give me an email. Telephone number 508-901-1320. Give me a call, and we can discuss all of these other programs.
Probably nothing is more important than many of the things that they are doing in terms of keeping the fabric of this community together. So, Sunny, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate it.
back.
And as a result, that's right, we'll pay you a special bonus for coming back for another
Part 2.
for another one of the installments of Giving Back. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show, and you should check out the other shows that we have on the YouTube channel so that you can see this variety of nonprofits that together constitute what it is to be in Nantucket, on Nantucket. Look forward to seeing you in the next show. Thank you.